Yeah, it's rewind time. Okay, I'm done. So Cap 45 is back in the game, and I watched a YouTuber. I think his name is Ghost619, and he was talking about how the Cap 45 was complete garbage. And I'm not kidding you. The entire video, like 80% of the video, is him calling this gun garbage and useless. I'm gonna talk about how ungrateful the COD community is, and I'm gonna just, I'm gonna go straight into this right now. So, in the days of advanced warfare, that's when supply drops were first introduced, giving us weapons, right? Just regular supply drops. Later into the game, um, there was a thing called advanced supply drops, which had, an increased chance in, getting higher gear like elite, and, then legendaries came, but we're talking about elite here. And it came with a bunch of different weapon variants, or the weapon variants have been in that game. And when advanced supply drops came in, you were only allowed to buy a limited amount of them. I was okay with that at first, buy a limited amount of advanced supply drops. You're there. Then later they introduced or they let you buy as much as you want. So, I mean, before that they had a deal where you could buy like for $40 you can get like 200 advanced supply drops, something like that. But then in the end they let you buy as many as you want, which did make the game kind of pay to win. So people hated that. Understandably, people did hate that. You didn't want to pay to get a better gun in the game that could beat most guns, especially ones that had better damage output. Then Black Ops 3 came along. Boy, oh boy, Black Ops 3 was a bit of a ride. We didn't want the supply drop system, but what Treyarch promised was, you could get them in game. But what they didn't tell us is it took us a lot to get those in game. And it did. It takes a lot to get those in game, or to earn those rare supply drops. So people opened commons because rares were broken, and then COD points came into the play, and then you know that's when they also introduced the MX Garand and this and that. And all the guns, they weren't that broken, except the MX Garand was basically a two-shot kill in core with a really fast fire rate. But the only downside was you couldn't reload willingly. So trade off. People weren't too mad. They had melee weapons as well, kind of thing. Melee weapons, they all perform the same as the combat knife, so why use them, right? Until the Iron Gem came out, which was a much faster melee weapon, much faster performing melee weapon, but that quickly got nerfed. Then they brought in guns that would completely and utterly break the game. Hence the Olympia, the M14, they brought back the A94 and the XMC, which was the MSMC, which were completely broken guns that did break the game and changed and shift into the meta. And people were ungrateful of that. Same thing happened in Infinite Warfare, and then World War II came out. People hated that and that because these guns were, in fact, performing better than most guns, and it would be easier if you just bought them. Now we're on to Black Ops 4, which in my opinion is much better. There's not a doubt that thinks the system in Black Ops 4 is much better. But what they're also doing is rewarding us with semi-decent weapons. Semi-decent weapons that we could still buy out of the black market. And, you know, semi-decent weapons we can get out of the black market. And it was pretty cool, right? You didn't really get pay to win. The guns weren't all that. The Daemon was the only exception, and even that's still not even in the meta. So the Cap 45 was introduced. People were so hyped and so hipped and show like this and that, and it's not what they expected. Well, in a game where there's 50 extra health and core, this gun isn't going to be the shredding machine it was in BO2. It's straight up facts. I don't know. People, in my opinion, still compare guns in Black Ops 4 to guns in BO3 and BO2, even though they had 50 less health. You didn't get to willingly heal. The whole gameplay of BO4 is so much different than any previous COD because of that shift in the weapons, or the shift into the health, and how the weapons perform. They're all changed, including the Cap 45. Another thing that Ghost got wrong was he said the damage had high, or not the damage, the gun had high damage. Now, there's in a game like Call of Duty, I can see why people get damage output and damage uh, mixed up. I play a lot of Destiny 2, play a lot of Warframe, where DPS is something, and damage output is basically DPS in a way. This thing can hurl out a lot of damage within a span of time. It has some of the highest DPS of the pistol, or like of the pistol archetypes. But there's things like the Mozu, which is a one shot, which means that technically, if you hit your heads, that has the highest um, damage output. But that's only with an operator mod. The Cap 45 does have high damage output. It's a fact. It's statistically damn near the same as BO2. The only reason is it feels a lot sluggish is the fact that there are things like the Spitfire in the game and the SOG that can be dual wielded that can kill and shred in milliseconds. The Cap 45 doesn't do that because it's a black market weapon. Same thing with the SWAT. This thing is mediocre at best. It is mediocre. It's basically a copy of the ICR, but shittier. It says well-rounded with reliable damage. The damage is it has a mid-range kind of like feel to it when it comes to assault rifles all around. It's not good nor bad. It's just compared to the other assault rifles like the ICR and like the Rampart and like the Maddox, those have much faster time to kills. And you have the things like the SWAT RFT that doesn't really come with those attachments. Right? Rampart comes with high cal 1 and 2, which makes it a shredding machine. Maddox is just a shredding machine by itself. It just has, it's very unstable. You take a look back at the Daemon, which you get at, rank 50. 3-round burst submachine gun. This thing's actually pretty fast because it does come with high caliber 1 and 2. That's the only reason why it's a shredding machine. So people are over here, getting all pissed off that the Cap 45 doesn't have the damage that they wanted, even though it's, like I said, 50 extra health. It's different. It's a different game. It's a completely different meta. The Spitfire is in the game. The SOG is in the game. They're both extremely fast time to kills. They are what dominate the meta, in my opinion. There's things like the Augur DMR that with double tap and high cal 1 and 2 can 2-tap people with ease and have like one of the very fastest time to kills. At range, the Cap 45, it's in a bad state. Pistols are in a bad state. In hardcore, that's where pistols shine. That's where this Cap 45 is going to shine. And core pistols are okay at its best. The Strife, it's okay. The Mozu, the only time I'd use the Mozu is when I have Skull Splitter on it. The RK7 Garrison, that gun, if we were back at 100 health, the RK7 Garrison would be a beast. But because we have 150 health, it's not in the place. The whole meta shifted. The Cap 45 is statistically the same as the Cap 40, but it does come with rapid fire. It does come with hybrid mags, which are two essential perks or two essential attachments that is going to make this gun good. It is going to be able to compete with the meta once you put rapid fire and hybrid mags on. Each gun has their own specific amount of attachments specific to that weapon, allowing it to be its own gun instead of being like others with the same attachment. That's Black Ops 4 is in a good state where there's plenty of diversity of weapons. So the Cap 45 is going to be good. People just go and get the first impression on it. They're like, oh my god, this thing sucks. It's a pea shooter. It doesn't have high damage like it says. It has high damage output. High damage output and high damage is two different things. Let me tell you what, the Rampart has high damage. The Cap 45 has high damage output, which means DPS and overall damage. This thing will dominate in overall damage. People don't understand that. It's fine, though. It's fine. Call of Duty is completely different from most games. There's not a PvE segment that's about DPS. Like Raids and Destiny were all about DPS. Weapons that have better overall damage versus weapons that have good DPS versus weapons that have both good damage output and damage. There's weapons in this game that have both of that, which is the Maddox and the SOG and the Spitfire, arguably the three most dominating weapons right now. The Cap 45 doesn't fall short of high damage. It's it looks reliable. Fast fire rate with high damage output means high DPS. And in my opinion, this gun is going to be a shredder in hardcore and just as much of a shredder in core as long as you have rapid fire. That's my thing. I said at the beginning of the video that most COD players are indeed ungrateful because, Black Ops 4 gives mediocre weapons in the black market, which you can earn for free. I had no problem getting to tier 100 at all. I went through the tiers relatively fast. I haven't used the weapons yet. Actually, I have. They're all right. They're nothing meta breaking, and that's what people wanted. But when we get it, we say that they're not good, but they shine in their own way, and that's what people don't understand. So hopefully some people will gain some common sense, find some common ground with these weapons because they are good. People just don't know how to use them right. Every weapon in COD has their place. Anyways, that's it for the video. Please leave a like, possibly subscribe. It would make my day. Peace out.